Hey, good Wednesday. It is Dom time, and I have just beyond two stacks of stuff. But the thing that jumps to the top of the list, it's not the Dominion voting case, even though we had a cut from Bill O'Reilly yesterday about exactly what this will mean for Fox. And here's a guy that's out of there but knows it, that can speak better than anything. We have this wild shootout that represents Philadelphia. And Dan, if this were 10 years ago, this shootout would make news for a week, but they can't keep up with it. It involves a fight at FDR Park at 2 o'clock in the morning or something, and the two warring parties take off on the expressway
Wow.
going the wrong way
Oh,
at high speed, both of them firing 18 to 19 shots at each other. Just think about that. Everybody listening, I think of Ro, I think of Maisie, I think of Luke, DJ, Dan. I think of myself. I have to be here on the ship. Come on. And I think any one of us, these out of control maniacs, like this is Tombstone, Dodge City, and the Schuylkill Expressway, there's no Wyatt Earp. Instead, we have Larry Krasner, who's worse than Behan in Tombstone. I know Tombstone too much. I like it too much. Where's Doc Holliday when we need him? God, imagine high speed down the Schuylkill Expressway the wrong way. Why were they going the wrong way? Who knows? One is paralyzed now, apparently, and firing all these shots at each other. The wrong way is just a new wrinkle to this.
that's crazy.
Does that make news? Is that big news for a week here? What the hell's going on? No, it's Krasner land. Krasner land. Anything can happen. Here's how Channel 6 talked about this and put it in perspective. The wrong way shooters.
Two vehicles, as you mentioned, appeared to be chasing each other on the Schuylkill, ended up crashing right here, I-76 West, near the Passyunk Avenue exit. So these vehicles right now are facing the correct direction of travel, but they were going, we're told, the wrong way initially. They crashed, spun around, and ended up facing this way. I'll walk you through exactly what happened. You have this SUV right here that is shot up. We're being told that police found a 27-year-old man who was shot in the neck. He was in the back of that SUV, currently in critical condition after being rushed to the hospital. They said he's possibly paralyzed after being shot in the neck. They're saying that this shooting happened around 2:52 this morning at 19th and Pattinson in FDR Park. At least 18 shell casings were found out there, and police are still at that scene at the moment. A moments later, a PennDOT tow truck driver told police he saw the two vehicles speeding the wrong way on I-76 West. They appeared to be chasing each other. Police said the vehicles were going really fast. Other cars had to get out of the way. At some point, they crashed and then spun around, ended up facing the correct direction. So when police got here, they found that 27-year-old man with a gunshot wound to the neck. They rushed him to the hospital. They say a 32-year-old woman was driving that SUV that he was in. She remained on scene. And in the other car, the white vehicle, we're told that a 22-year-old man was driving that. Police believe that he was possibly the shooter. They say he remained on scene as well. So right now he is in custody at the moment. I want to give you a listen to what investigators told us not long ago.
Okay, Dan, we got it. I think that's enough. So the wrong way. That's the thing that gets me. Just the sheer out of control of this. So I am a big fan of former Commissioner Ramsey, but the headline on this, and I'll give you details on this, it is very, very specific, which is interesting. Headline of the report that he's dropped today on public safety and Temple, Dan says, Temple should lead a collective effort to make North Philly safer, says long-awaited report. Why the hell is this the duty of Temple?
Why them?
All right. Now, I will say this. There are two factors here. Of course, there's the trifecta of dumbness. Kenny, outlaw, that some candidates for mayor still refuse to say they'll get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Krasner. But then in this report, they take about these Temple students who are living 4+ blocks away. Hey. They've proven their insanity And you know what? I don't think it's Temple's duty to protect them. They're on their own. They talk about crime 0.4 miles from the center of Temple all the way out. It's preposterous that it's Temple's duty to do this. What are they supposed to do? They could hire 1,000 cops. It's not going to make a difference there. Then they'll be accused of tactics of marauding in the neighborhood or something. All right. I'll get to those, but I want to lead. First of all, you can take a look at my Twitter at DomShow1210. Dan, this guy has lost his mind with the hair. I have a picture up there of King Philip Murphy of the wig, king of the wig. I don't even know if it is a wig. I think it could be more of a transplant, but I'm not sure. You'll have to look at the picture. But he has to ruffle it so much that it's all messed up.
It's so bad.
You know, I
bad.
like volume in hair. But when you're on TV, they slick it down. I'm always arguing with them. I got to admit, you got to slick it down on TV, though.
Your hair looks good today. Go check it out at youtube.com/@1210WPHD.
Yes. As you're eating your lunch, we can discuss hairstyles.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you're getting into Dining with Dom here on YouTube. And let us know what foods you're partaking and beverages today. We always have some, no white wines, though. I don't want to hear anything about white wines. So, Dan, it's not just the new piece. It's all ruffled all over the place to do this. I'm going to play you, and I'm going to have to stop it because, I can't take 3 straight minutes of this. This is the gold of the day. So Murphy must do a monthly show with a New Jersey TV station. And he gives some of the wildest excuses for spending $500,000 on his office furnishings, his wifey's office furnishings. One pull quote is, "I'm not walking out with the rugs. Those rugs will be here when I leave." You try that. Dan, I almost had a commitment from Ro. When I told her, she thought the rugs were high. You made a lot of the rugs. But when I told her it was $66,700 for the curtains, $66,700 for the curtains.
It's ridiculous.
Even Ro, who loves the curtaining type of, oh God, said, yeah, what are you getting for $66,000? She kind of bought the rugs at $217 were high, but it was the curtains that got her. Listen to Murphy now.
Hey, just want to point out on our Dining with Dom special, there's the video component along with this clip as well.
Okay,
so if you want to see the hair that we're talking about,
you see what I mean?
In lifetime, it's horrible. It's terrible. I got it frozen there on YouTube right now. It's bad.
I mean, I don't know what politician's hair is worse. Now, Trump's is more complicated.
This is bad.
It's like his hair is like Roman viaducts. You know, the stuff that he does, but he jokes about it.
I think did he get plugs or is it just overgrown balding?
No, he's got to have a plug because that thing in the center, that little tuft in the center, but
he's always had the widow's peak when he was even
but
the shaved
he didn't
head.
have any hair there though. Yeah. So that part, no, Dan, that looks like it's glued in or something.
It does.
It does, really. That's what they told him. Now the teeth,
they sewed it into the front of his head.
Yeah. Listen to the excuses. They don't even put the caller on with Murphy. They kind of summarize the caller, right? Because I think they're afraid the caller is going to go off. How do you spend $500,000? Here's Murphy.
We've got somebody online who is not very happy about the way in which the administration spent some money. And this specifically has to do with the State House renovations. So there was an article that just came out. This was Matt Arco and NJ Advanced Media.
Is Matt on the phone?
No, it's not Matt on the phone, but it is garnering a good deal of attention here. $283 million State House renovation in total. But what this revealed through Open Public Records Act findings was $270,000 for 3 rugs, almost $67,000 for curtains, $24,000 on sofas, $31,000 for 2 antique desks, and that's in your office and the First Lady's office. So
I love the B-roll footage provided. Probably
actually attached a picture of that article asking why you're carelessly spending money.
Talk about leading the witness. RSA is the person?
Yes.
Okay. We don't know who this is.
No.
Okay.
Let's find them. Let's find them and get them, FBI.
We won't be able to see. I hope you're listening. First of all, I read the article. I thought Matt was, and Matt's a good guy. I thought
Oh,
Matt was
yeah,
fair.
right. He'll never get a quote from me again.
But may I say one thing
Matt
to
Rainey should
RSA?
use that on his show.
Yeah.
A couple of things, in fact. This
I like
was not
Matt.
my
He's really good.
idea. We didn't start this.
Oh, not his
having said
idea.
that, it was needed. It was desperately needed. I wish it had started earlier. It came in under budget. The furnishings budget are less than 0.3% of 1% of the total cost of this project.
Oh my God.
It's not the First Lady's office, with all due respect. She's sitting in an office, which is an alternative office for the governor. There was a fairly spirited debate as to whether or not the governor should be on the first
What
floor
the heck?
or on the second floor.
You ought to be in a basement.
Hold on, I'm going to pause it right there.
Yes. How many
is that
excuses?
really?
That's about 5 by my fact
If
check.
you were governor, Dom Giordano of New Jersey, would you want a first floor or second floor office? Does it
I
really
wanna-
matter that much to you?
I want to be on the first floor.
Yeah.
Where the action is. Yeah.
Why would I guess second floor so you can be higher than everybody else?
Yeah, I
And-
guess so. Yes. I mean, well, all he's doing, he's trying to roll out all these talking points that a handler told him. Say it's 0.3 of 1/1,000,000th of the budget. It's not over budget. So if you say $1 trillion to refurbish this studio, not over budget, Greg Stocker said at the meeting.
Can I explain the visual of this to those that aren't watching on YouTube too? So this is Power and Politics on News 12.
Yes.
And they have Murphy in a small box now. And what they did is they brought up a big box and they're showing like the horrible damage. It's like, messed up concrete in the rotunda.
Yeah. Well, nobody has any problem with fixing that. Bring a plaster guy in, a Jersey guy. All right, here's what we'll do. I'll do it under the table. We'll get some people here illegally. You like that, Phil? I can
head over to Home Depot, go to the parking lot.
Yeah, I can do it for 15 grand. Yeah, that's what they show as opposed to the office.
Many governors that will follow me. And by the way, that's another point. I'm not walking out of the State House in January of 26 with the rugs. They're there for the next 50 to 100 years, my friend. So they're there. We want to do this with some amount of. We want some majesty. This is New Jersey, for crying out loud. This is the second longest, oldest in use state house.
It's really leaning into the King Murphy.
King Murphy.
Yeah.
Reek of pride. And back to the comment, it's not clear where governors 20, 50, 100 years from now will want to be downstairs, upstairs. The lieutenant governor has got a separate suite. So we said, you know what, let's do all of this in a first-class way. Again, less than 0.3% of 1% of the cost of the entire project, but let's do this right.
How much is this project?
$438 million, I think.
There for the ages to come. We'll be there for
the ages,
a little over
like he's Lincoln.
2.5 years. My guess is this stuff will last a good 100 years.
100 years.
Doing the math, I say that means about 97 or 98% of the usage of these furnishings will not be by yours truly or anyone in my administration.
All right, Governor, let's get to the phones right now. We've got Helen from Jackson on the line.
Why did they put the guy on who wanted to talk about this? He might have had something to say. But you know what's worse than Phil Murphy? What's worse are the people in New Jersey that it's just like in Philadelphia. It's in their bloodstream. They have to vote for the progressive. They got to vote for the liberal. They can't wait. No matter what nonsense is done to them, it doesn't matter. As long as he says, I made abortion forever. The abortion law is going to last longer than these rugs, but you're going to last 100 years. 100 years.
Anthony Wolf says, speaking about rugs, look at his head.
Yeah, well, come on.
It's bad.
I used that 3 or 4 times yesterday. Come on now. You can't recycle that. Yes. The majesty of New Jersey. New Jersey and majesty. All right. Before I give you this side question, 855-839-1210.
We're getting some lunches rolling in.
Yes.
Fred says he's having turkey and provolone on rye for lunch today.
Oh, not bad. Look, remember, I'm a vegetarian, but turkey is certainly acceptable.
And then Adam writes, and I'm making shrimp scampi, Dom, for dinner. Sorry, I use white wine Moscato to cook with.
Oh, God. Well, you're out of the family business. All right. So, Dan, I just saw this on Fox. Now, think about it. I'd love to hear from listeners. Maybe you can give us some better ones than this. Joe Biden is addled. He doesn't know a damn thing of what he's doing, and he's always been challenged. But his political gut to stir up racial disharmony, he knows no boundaries. So the Biden White House has voted Ralph Yarl. This is the kid who knocked on the wrong door and got shot, horror, all that type of stuff. He gets the invite to the White House, though. And I just saw on Fox a few people going through a list of people who have not been invited to the White House. Why this kid? Why that? Because this is the stock and trade of every progressive, including Biden. They're going to run with this forever. Shot by an 84-year-old guy. And again, I think he's charged and should be charged in various ways. Fine. Why does this kid get invited to the White House, though? We know why. We know what Biden's doing. And several people making the point, well, what about the Nashville police who stopped the transgendered shooter in Nashville just recently? When are they getting invited to the White House? What about some of those crime victims in New York that we saw that Biden could comfort them? When are they getting invited to the White House? Oh, I don't know. Maybe his grandchild in Mississippi, the progeny of Hunter Biden, I don't think will ever be at the egg roll. Why this kid then? We know exactly why this kid. We know exactly where they're going to go with this. They're going to run with this forever, stir up more racial nonsense. Who should be invited to the White House? 855-839-1210, you get a line. Maybe Leah Thomas will be next invited to the White House.
Oh,
that would be a good.
Has she not been invited yet? That's
not that I.
That's
Yeah,
honestly very surprising.
That's an oversight there. All right, so we have that going on. I'll tell you a little bit more about this Temple report. There are some things in here, but the candidates for mayor last night were asked a question about the so-called fashion district, about the curfew there. And one of them, Dan, said, well, what the hell are these kids doing there at 2 a.m. anyhow? The curfew is 2 p.m. That was Jeff Brown. I don't know how the heck. I'll tell you what Helen Gibbs said, though. And again, when are we actually going to see another well-run debate? That's all that it will take to out a lot of these candidates. All right, phone lines, 855-839-1210. All right, welcome in, everyone. Give you the side question in a moment, brought to you by Dr. Bentz. Don't forget, you can always reach Dr. Bentz, get that appointment going, 610-272-6949. Dan and I going over there today and filming Mr. DeMille.
Yeah, get your good angles.
Yes, you've been giving all the angles. You've been giving me, well, here's where I'm going to insert this, the symbolism of it. Rosebud. We'll have that up for you. It's National
Put on the
Prosthodontic
director's hat.
Prosthodontics month. And we'll be interviewing Dr. Benson. That we'll tell you where you can see it when we have it coming up. Now, 855-839-1210. The side question today, I kind of thought maybe we should broaden it. Dan thinks everybody will get it, so I'll go with that. Dan, you saw this somewhere. I'm not sure if it was on Reddit or not. What's the song, if you're driving, road trip or just normal driving, that gets you going and has you speed up?
Yeah. So you're driving on a road trip, right?
Right.
And the song comes on the radio. And
Right.
once that hits that radio, you have absolutely no other choice. It's just instinctual. It's subconsciously that you start to go over the speed limit because the song just gets your blood flowing so much, and you gotta bring the speed of that car up there, Dom. I think there are tons of songs that boil the blood of our listeners enough to get them flying down the road. And
well, I'm taking the number one choice off because I know what it would be. Born to Run. Definitely. So we better take that. I got to take that off the board. That would have been a sure winner, I'm sure. I'd have to overrule you on this. You would quit probably. But
it works. I think it's a good answer for what we're talking about today.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about On the Road Again?
Yeah, I guess. Do you like? I feel like there's something to a song that throughout it might start slower and then speeds up, so it kind of encourages you to speed up as well. And I think On the Road Again, it kind of stays the same tempo, and it's a slower tempo the entire time. But it works. It works.
So what's yours?
Freebird.
All right.
Freebird, because right when you once you hit that this part right here, and it gets into the solo, you can't help but not speed up that car.
All right. That's what we're looking for. An unusual. Never have we ever gone anywhere near this. 855-839-1210. That's how you get in. At the end of your call, I'd love to talk with you about all the stuff. Don't just drop in for 10 seconds. We'll get to your side question, but we got a lot of stuff happening here today. If you saw that mayoral forum last night, just dreadful. But Helen Gim actually went there and said we should stop criminalizing these kids. Are there enough people in Philadelphia? If this woman were just in 2 or 3 more debates, how much can she expose how obnoxious she is and how radical she is? So I didn't think, Dan, I'm pretending, say it's Rich Cioli and I doing the debate there, right? Rather than these people, I don't know where they get them from. It was centered on Northeast Philadelphia because of Holy Family. They actually asked a question, how are you going to make college campuses safe? And went round and round. What are you talking about? The city's a war zone. What are we talking college campuses for? But anyhow, I thought it was a dumb question in the beginning. And then I guess it sort of worked because it drew them out a bit about, do you support the curfew over at the so-called fashion district of 2 p.m.? And Helen Gim actually said, no, we have to stop this policing of young people. We have to give them something to do. Jeff Brown said, what the hell's a kid doing out at 2 o'clock in the morning? It's a parental problem. Alan Dom said he would support it, but he'd have to talk with them about underlying causes. I think Eamon Brown was about the only one, Dan, that just said in a full-throated way, are you kidding me? Of course a business has a right to set a curfew. Stop it already. What are we even talking about, this question? And Dan, they went back to it again and again and again, including that judge. Oh, my God. Who got up there to bloviate and take. Guy, huh? I'm screaming. Can you imagine what it's like for Roe? That she's used to it. For listeners, though, Dan, I'm saying, do you think for a moment as he's talking, I would let this guy chew up my time? I'd come over that table so fast and say, go somewhere else and bloviate. We're not wasting our time here. Eamon Brown looked pretty good. They call him Eamon Brown, too. I'm not sure what his name is anymore, Dan.
It's Eamon.
It is Eamon, but the Eamon was the moderator, the lead moderator. And every one of them, except for Jeff Brown, who was good on this, Dan, said, oh, yeah, We're all for a subway to the Bucks County line through Northeast Philadelphia. And Jeff Brown went, do you know what havoc that would cause building that? He also said, SEPTA is in meltdown. They can't cover the lines they have right now. And we're going to spend $5 billion on having another subway line to Northeast Philadelphia. But I guess they felt the crowd wanted to hear, oh, yeah, we're going to get right on that the first day, building that subway to Northeast Philadelphia, to the end of Northeast Philadelphia. My God. All right. So is there any doubt that a local business has a right to set a curfew? And then what these people are doing over in the so-called fashion district is they're appalled by the nonsense they're seeing. The weather gets nicer. They don't want a Chicago. They don't want to see themselves overrun by this. What do you mean? That's a legitimate question that we'll learn something out of that. So I thought I'd ask today, you've heard some of mine. What is it these people ought to be asked that might be revealing? That's what these debates are supposed to do. They're supposed to reveal what they'll actually do. All right, 855-839-1210. You get a line. At the end of your call, hit us with that song that gets you going, that you might be over the speed limit. And I by the way, I wonder what they were playing, Dan, as this shootout was going on. Can you imagine? I want to see the criminal record of these people overnight. Steve Keeley, of course, best coverage on this. Do you know how deranged you have to be? Two vehicles at high speed, 85 to 100 miles an hour, for some reason headed west on the wrong side of the highway. How do they get on the wrong side of the highway? One of them decided, I guess, to dodge the other. And they both are flying down the Schuylkill. Now, if the media is doing their job, we should know about these people. I'm willing to bet out of the 6 or 8 or 10 of them that are involved, that they've been arrested close to 50 to 70 times. They've served time. They have illegal weapons. They're not working. Any number of things. And of course, Krasner, lurking in the background somehow or another, has played a role in letting them be out there on the streets. Just think of what they could have done to your loved ones, to you. That's what Philadelphia has become, so much so that it's a blip on the screen. This story will not even be there tomorrow. Robert Kennedy Jr., just moments ago in Boston, announced his presidential bid. Oh, Dan, you have to get a little bit. Now, he doesn't even have the accent, this guy, though, too much.
Hold on.
All right. Let's hear it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Well, that fits him, yes.
Yeah. I'll have his announcement here.
Okay, all right. We'll have a little bit of Robert Kennedy Jr. with his announcement. All right. If I get him on again, Dan, I'm just asking when he came to the Holy Family, Mr. Environmental, why did he come in a limo? But anyhow, let's go to Keith in South Philly. And Keith is first in today on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Keith, welcome in.
How are you, Dom?
Good.
So I'd like to comment on all the candidates running. I feel like they're spineless. None of them are going to do anything different than what is already going on with the city. And if anything, they're going to make it worse.
Well, I differ with you.
Yeah.
That's just, Keith, I, with all due respect, you're not paying attention. 2 or 3 or 4 of them are definitely going to be better than Kenny and this crew.
I told everybody I talked to, I tell them, you vote for another Democrat in the city, it's the equivalent of crap in the bed and only changing the seats.
All right. Well, thank you, Keith, very much for that. God, we're not at the general election level. And Dan, the dirty little secret, and I got to say, I really, really like David O. Okay. But I'm not wishing. Several people what's David O's best chance to be the first Republican mayor, or at least contend in the last, 70 years. And that is if Helen Gim is the Democrat nominee, because a lot of people believe a lot of money, even on the Democrat side, would go to O to help him. Guess what? I don't want to roll the dice. Neither should you. If David O is going to be the mayor, we'll support him in the general. He's going to have to earn it against, hopefully, a Democrat who's not a horror. I'm not going to roll the dice and hope that Helen Gim is the nominee so that David O can beat her. You're asking existential danger here. So no, Keith, I differ with you. I'm not saying these candidates are Frank Rizzo or anything like that, but they are going to be a lot better on law and order across the board than what we've seen with Kenny, Outlaw, and Krasner. We need a lot more, though. I would agree. They may not have the stomach to take on Krasner. That I agree with. All right, you got the side question at the end of the call. What's that song that gets you going and you look down and you're over the speed limit? At least you're not headed the wrong way on the Schuylkill Expressway, though. All right, 855-839-1210. That's how you get in, and we'll play you a little bit of Robert Kennedy Jr. You got something?
Yeah, you want a little bit of him?
Yeah, let's hear a little bit.
Who worked so hard to make this a really great event. I wanted to do this event in Boston because this is a town that I have strong roots in. I graduated high school here. I went to college here. But more importantly, all of my Kennedy grandparents, Kennedy and Fitzgerald grandparents, landed here in 1848, fleeing British oppression and the potato famine back at home. And they arrived here from a nation where for 800 years, there was legalized oppression against Irish Catholics. They had not been able to vote, to exercise their franchise.
Hey, let's stop it right there, Dan. We got enough, I think. Unless you tell me, Dan, does he pivot to say, and guess what? In this country right now, there's legalized oppression against Roman Catholics, led by the Biden administration, led by this fake of all time Catholics, Joe Biden, who praised the Catholic Church in Ireland, but not so much here in the United States. That would have been a good pivot. That would have gotten my attention from Kennedy Jr. But Kennedy Jr. is just going to be another progressive. The only difference is the vaccine thing. That's really the only thing that's happening here. All right, coming up, and Dan, you don't even know about this. What the headline says, Nets star, claiming this person is a star, is buddies with a genocide participator with the Communist Chinese Party and gives a new basketball court to this guy in China. Who might be?
I think it's spoiled by Nets quote star.
Yeah, who might be this Nets star? It's remarkable that this guy.
I mean, who else on the roster
Yes.
can be considered a quote star?
Yeah, well,
Michael Bridges? I mean, he
well,
should be, but he's kind of underrated.
no,
right
he's
now.
a good guy. No, this is a benched star at this point by his own volition. We'll tell you who
I know
they
where
is,
we're going.
and we'll tell you, yes, we'll tell you about his basketball court for the Communist Chinese Party. Little hints, you're not allowed to shoot on that court. Get it? Hey, let's talk about
Look at
our
that rim
big
shot on our hockey team.
Let's talk about our big extravaganza. Headed to Italy this summer with a lot of listeners. We'd love to have you sign up and be part of this. Dan, this will be kind of like my summer White House. And I
You're gonna
think
buy $200,000 worth of carpets.
yeah, I think I have to tell Daddy Dorenzo is there, we'll get more people to go on this. We're going to be close to the Phil Murphy estate. Couldn't we take a little side trip there? Crack open a bottle of wine. Get to see the rugs that are in the villa there in Italy. Join us. You'll get Rome, Florence, Tuscany, Milan, stunning Lake Maggiore at the foot of the Alps, and all-time romantic Venice. There's a reason why Italy is the most revisited country in the world. All this with great hotels and sumptuous dinner feasts and the wine. Our buddies, Conservative Tours, aptly named, they get it. Conservative Tours has a plus rating with the BBB. We'll do all the big things, and we'll be on those back roads too. We'll see a medieval village in Orvieto, an authentic balsamic farm in Modena, and those warm afternoons rolling across the back roads of Tuscany, and the wine at all stops. All this just $52.67. That includes your airfare. The Colosseum, Michelangelo's David, the Vatican, everyone's favorite, magical romantic Venice. Call Conservative Tours, but do not wait, okay? A lot of listeners are already committed. We want you with us. 888-733-9494. Or go to conservativetours.com. 888-733-9494. Dom Giordano's show, a little bit later in the show, and we never play a cut this long, but it is radio gold. It's 4 minutes, 29 seconds of Don Lemon, who is challenged on a good day against one of the smarter guys you're ever going to interview, Vivek Ramaswamy. And Vivek schooled him today on Second Amendment rights in African Americans after the Civil War. And that set Don Lemon off to a level haven't quite seen. But, it's another day of ignorance when you have somebody smart, you don't know how to contend with them. All right, our side question today, though, is what song, you look down, you're speeding up if you're on the highway. It gets you going that much. And the Nets star, who is buddied up with a genocide-denying Communist Chinese Party diplomat and built him a basketball court in the area where the Uyghurs are oppressed, is Ben Simmons.
Can this guy get any worse?
Yeah, Kenny. And, some of this, Dan, I think is the Brooklyn Nets are still owned by a guy who is very much an influential player with the Communist Chinese and with China. So maybe that's why. But Ben Simmons apparently knows this diplomat, Wang Ping, and he said he visited China to play basketball when he was 16, then again as an NBA player. I've always enjoyed visiting the people, and the fans are always so welcoming, and the love for basketball there is incredible. Ignoring, of course, the obvious, this is where the Uyghurs are, and he built a brand new basketball court. Okay, that's where we are.
Oy.
All right, 855.
Do the Uyghurs get to use it?
That's quite. They may have built it, being whipped as they're building it if they survived it. This idiot, though, this guy might be the I would nominate him as the worst professional athlete we've seen in Philadelphia. Ben Simmons. He just crawls with just about every element of things that we don't like here. Can you think of anybody worse or even in his league, Dan? I can at this point. It would take an awful lot to think of somebody this bad. You know, maybe if they committed a serious felony or something like that, I guess I'd have to listen to that. That's about it. All right, let's take some of the callers, though. 855-839-1210. At the end of your call, hit us with the side question today, though. But Temple called upon to lead the charge to make North Philly safer. How would Temple do that when the city refuses to do it? You know, and Dan, is there a disease here? These moderators again last night. Not one question about Krasner. They're worried about Broad Street lines to Northeast Philadelphia. Holy Family, they read a kid's question, is a safe campus. Why can't you do the same thing at Temple? Yo, Einstein, look around. Just one deflection point after another. And the curfew over at the Fashion District as the main question. Not driving equity bills, not Krasner, not maniacs flying down the highways the wrong way at 100 miles an hour shooting at each other. Let's go to Peter. All right, Peter's in Skip Pack on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Pete, good afternoon.
Hey, Dom, how you doing?
Good.
All right, great. So, I ride a motorcycle, and, there's a lot that goes along with it as far as safety and respect goes.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, who previously worked at Harris and Chester, calls me one day in a panic. She was getting chased out of Chester with guys on motorcycles and quads. So I guess the question to the candidates would be, what are you going to do about these roving cruiser bikes? And instead of impounding them and destroying them, maybe you offer them to people out in the Midwest or out in rural areas that could actually use them for good.
Well, yeah, I'd be fine with that. They did ask that a little bit last night, and it was the usual things, Peter, their answers. None of them want to ever confront them if they're on the roads. They all seem to think undercover, bust them that way and do that. I don't think that's good enough. I do think ultimately they got to be confronted in a relatively safe area. And you also have to pass a law where a gas station can't give gas. I don't want to put another thing on business, but they need gas to people that are unregistered. These are unregistered vehicles. They're illegal in the face of it.
Right. It's easy enough to grab a gas can and go to your local station and fill that up and then go back home.
Well, yeah, they seem to all want to go into the gas station at once, though. That's what they usually do. So for you, motorcyclists, what's the song, Peter?
Oh, I can drive 55.
All right, that's beautiful. All right, Peter. Dan had that ready to go. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Excellent. No, they did at least ask that question last night. They showed these marauding mobs coming in. And look, I know the threat of potential danger if you confront them at that point. I'm not saying you're going to get all of them, but you have to pick some of them off and then make a spectacle out of destroying their bikes, get them the maximum fines, time, etc., and get them to give up others and make a concerted effort to rub their nose into it. Turn the police loose instead of just seeing this marauding. And I would hope the media this week, Dan, covers these maniacs for at least a few days in detail. The horror of going 85 to 100 miles an hour the wrong way on the Schuylkill Expressway headed west, shooting at each other. So out of control, they crash and the cars spin around and are going the right way then.
The most horrifying thing is, it could be anyone just driving on the Schuylkill. Right, and now I mean, it's an anomaly here, but now there's the potential of someone coming at you the other way, going 80 miles per hour to
shooting at each other, two of them. And you know what? Krasner just wakes up and he's going to do the same thing. You know what, Dan? I'm being too hard. I get it to some degree. People just can't conceive of a Krasner who's just going to continue to do this stuff. I can. And it's the South Philly raising. I've seen it. There's some people, they're just not going to stop. They will not stop. There's no rationale, no reason. Nothing will stop them. They have to be beaten. They have to be beaten, in this case, at the ballot box or taken on by the mayor. It has to be a concerted, all-out effort. I'd love to hear one of these people say as mayor, you know what? I'm tired of hearing this stuff of I'm going to go back room and meet with Larry Krasner. I'm telling the public the truth. This guy is a scourge. You can't do that. So I'm going to show up at his office. I'm going to call him out. I'm going to call him out every day in the media. I'm going to call out every one of this mob that is backing us. That's what I'm going to do as mayor. Oh, you can't do that. We'd rather have people flying down the highways and 100, connect the dots. That's what I'm going to do. Now, I don't know what would happen in Philadelphia. You might be roasted. Or maybe the remaining people that have any sense of it would realize what could happen last night. Just think about that if that's your loved one. I can picture someone working 2 shifts, coming home late. Mom or dad, 3 kids, taken out by these animals in this situation. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. It's time for the NBA playoffs. Sixers again tonight, and you can get on the action right now with that first tip from FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. Right now, all customers can get that no-sweat same-game parlay at every weekend when you bet the NBA playoffs. That's right, just place a 3+ leg same-game parlay on the same-game parlay plus on any NBA game, and you're going to get bonus bets back even if you don't win.
4.5 points.
Wow, it really dipped.
Yeah.
I'd take
was
that
10,
in a
right?
heartbeat. Can we stop the show so I can put a big bet down on that? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're at home against the Nets. That's disgraceful.
And 209.
I would take the over.
Okay. Yeah.
Embiid, go for 40 tonight. This is a safe and secure app. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sports book. You'll really like the FanDuel app. Visit FanDuel.com/Dom.
Just throwing it out there. If you
Yes.
bet the Dom special, it's the same game parlay of
Yes.
Sixers covering the spread, going over, and Joel Embiid having over 40 points. It's $10 to win $142.
All right, there you go. There's your tip of the day. Blame Embiid, not me if it doesn't happen, because the other is. And this is a great place to find bets like that. The FanDuel.com/Dom. Now, FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NBA, and FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT. You have to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER. Dom Giordano Show. Welcome in. 855-839-1210. A little bit later, we got to play you Don Lemon. Couldn't resist today. He wasn't the lead interviewer, Dan. The Poppy was. Poppy Harlow.
Bobby Arlo.
And Vivek was, riding high, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Don Lemon just had to jump into the ring. He even told people, hey, stop talking in my ear. It's hard for me to contend with this guy to have a thought. No, Don,
Yeah, he cracked there.
that's not what was doing it. How much longer can Don Lemon stay in that spot? My God, what are they going to do with him? Because he's not. How many different things? He's had arguably one of the biggest faux pas with legs in cable in the last 10 or 15 years.
I don't know. He's a joke to us because we can see right through his transparency. But I think the general audience of CNN, especially those on the left,
I don't think so. No.
look up to him.
The numbers don't indicate that. No, not at all. This is a debacle. And he's never really done that. So it's not just being a leftist, Dan. Even they see this guy. And he was at NBC 10. He was right down the hall in the old building when we were there. Yeah, I got to see him several times.
Back when he was Don Lemon?
Yes.
Yeah. Before he changed his name?
Before he changed his name to Don Lemon. Yes. Okay. We got coming up Ian Pryor, who's a friend of the show. He's in Loudoun County, where it's the center of all those battles with these runaway school districts. And he's got a brand new book out, 12 Rules to Fight America's Notorious School Boards. I happened to see, Dan, at Broad and Liberty today, that the long-awaited report on what's happening over at the Central Bucks School District, a woman's written a big piece about it, is going to be talked about at the school board meeting in Central Bucks on Thursday night. And we'll have a lot to say about this. This is the one where the ACLU's gone after them. My theory, they're trying to bring Central Bucks down because they have a great school board now. They're really getting to the bottom of all the nonsense around transgendered arguments. And if they can take them down, it's a message to any school board that we can take you down too. It's the ACLU, a bunch of activists, a bunch of alumni who don't know what they're talking about, all ganging up. So this Thursday should be quite a meeting there. And we'll have full coverage as the report on the allegation about bullying of either gay or trans students has been out there. It's out there nationally at pretty high levels. All right, so we'll talk with Ian Pryor next. Let me take one more quick one here. Is it Mike? Hey, Mike, welcome Hey, Mike in Freehold. Hi, what's your side question answer today, Mike?
It's Hot Rod Lincoln by Commander Cody and his Lost Planetary Airmen.
All right, that is quite a mouthful. Dan, do you know that tune? Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah. Yes. All right. Yeah. It has that rhythm. That's
Definitely
a classic harp song.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll put you down for that one. We'll keep them going with that. Ian Pryor next. And then I'll play you Don Lemon today. Wow. I just thought this was a brilliant point about the Second Amendment. Harriet Tubman, I might have thrown in there, Dan. Big fan of the Second Amendment. Not Don Lemon, though. All right. And he speaks, apparently, he believes, for most or all black people. We'll play that coming up. Hey, for all seafood lovers, you love seafood and you haven't tried Captain Chucky. Those two things don't go together. Come on. Make your springtime gatherings better with great food and delicacies from the one and only Captain Chucky's. 18 locations now in the tri-state area, bound to be one, I like to say, within 10 minutes of you probably. Great choices of breaded, non-breaded crab cakes, literally a crab cake for everybody. Dessert, soup, sides, appetizers, and of course, my personal favorite, that would be the Don Roll. You literally can create meals for every night of the week and not get bored. They use only the highest quality ingredients, and their Gulf shrimp is a huge hit. It's always wild caught, never farm raised. Everyone always asks when you serve this, where did you get that shrimp? So get the shrimp tray, get some crab cakes. Always ask about their specials. Now, you can visit one of Captain Chucky's 18 big locations, see the crew in Newtown Square, the Westtown Farm Market, Mullica Hill Farm Market, Jason and Bridget Latier in Jamison, and Tony and Jamie Parson with their newest store in Cinnaminson. The Vogelsang family, they're in Runnymede, New Jersey. Ocean City, Sea Isle City, both open Friday and Saturday now, noon till 5. See Chris and Donna Ryan in Ocean City and the McCann family in Sea Isle. Remember that one website, welovecrabcakes.com.